Great pleasure to introduce a good friend, and the reason that we're all here. Alex started this meeting 11 years ago. I'm just a pawn in his giant scheme of things.
Yeah, right. He kept the conference open in 2020 when everybody closed.
We were here, very few people. There were like one chair with 5 meters apart, I think, or something. Anyway, it's really great that you're here, Alex, and we very much look forward to hearing about your talk.
Thank you, Morten, and I would like to thank all of you for coming, and today I will have a really cool ending to the presentation, so I'm actually very nervous, like seriously nervous. It involves risk. But today I'm going to talk about one really interesting story. And you know, our life is made of stories, and many of those stories happen at ARDD. You've seen what happened today in the morning when Lika Silo presented her work on TNIC, and I was like, wow. So this is a story that I picked up at the Longevity Summit Dublin, which many of you probably have attended. It's the summit founded by Aubrey de Grey. And I previously disregarded methylation aging clocks as, you know, being some kind of wrinkles on a DNA that you can count and predict your biological age or chronological age and turn it into a biological age. But I disregarded this data type as a potential source of therapeutic targets. So far, I have not seen any therapeutic target coming from an aging clock based on methylation data. And today, I actually changed my mind in a very dramatic way, and there is anecdotal evidence, so we still have to do a lot of research, but I'm going to present a story that implicates methylation aging clock for drug target discovery. Many of you know Steve Horvath, and in my opinion, this person deserves a Nobel Prize. If there is any ever awarded for aging, he probably should be the first in line or second in line after Jens Jules Holst, who presented today. So if you have any influence with the Nobel Committee, those two gentlemen have to be prioritized, with Jens, of course, going first. Steve, if he probably gets a Nobel Prize, it will be for a drug out of the methylation aging clock that would be measured by the methylation aging clock, and that would be super cool. And I would like to present a pathway for that today. But before I start, I want to talk a little bit about the company very briefly, because I know I have like 30 slides and I have only 20 minutes, and I want to use the 5 remaining minutes for something really special. So a company update, many of you have heard about Insilico. We are now in 7 countries and regions. We're moving our North American headquarters to Cambridge, so 1000 Mass Avenue. You already can see the sign, beautiful location. And we're very committed to extending healthy productive longevity, but we built a very sustainable model to do that. So if I were to illustrate Insilico in just one slide in terms of how it looks today, this is how it looks like. We're actually very, very focused on sustainability as well. It's kind of not my crazy new passion, but I think that if we are to live longer, we probably need to start thinking about the environment. And I was very surprised to see that many people kind of opposed the sustainability and longevity declaration here. And Morten planted 10,000 trees for ARDD. So that's actually quite strange that some people don't want to see a decarbonized future. And I believe that the technology that we utilize for small molecule drug discovery can be used for capturing CO2 at scale through direct air capture. We actually started making good money on that as well, because we provide this service to companies that do R&D in direct air capture and metal organic frameworks and amides. So talk to me if you're interested. Insilico now provides software to the world. So we sell software. We generate millions and millions of dollars by selling software. But we also generate a lot of validation experiments. So a lot of you who use the software use new models. We constantly update them, and you report to us whether they work or not. So that saves us a lot of money on validation. and allow us to build a community around those 4 verticals that we have: biology 42, chemistry 42, medicine 42, and science 42. Currently, those tools are used by 10 out of the top 20 pharmaceutical companies. And in order for us to be successful at selling software and developing software, we actually develop our own pipeline. So now 9 of our programs reached clinical stage, got IND clearance. 2 are in phase 2 in the US and China. As a matter of fact, that's Therapeutic that Likisilo was talking about today, the anti-muscle wasting drug, hopefully. But we're taking it for pulmonary fibrosis. We identified it utilizing multiple data sets that allow us to implicate it in fibrosis and aging at the same time. And we then sell those drugs to pharmaceutical companies. So our capacity is pretty high, so now we're kind of constrained by funding mostly. But our capabilities go beyond the capabilities of some of the countries, because there are very few countries that ever discovered a drug. And that's why we actually are so focused on the Middle East. We actually think that this is the area where you can convert oil into the new oil by giving them the ability to convert money into drugs. We've nominated 18 preclinical candidates. Now actually it's kind of 19 before the announcement. We have 9 programs that reached human clinical trials, and our average time to preclinical candidate is now approximately 13 months, depending on the target novelty. We also started doing reasonably well on revenue, so those are audited financials. In this year, we actually have substantial growth. But in 2023, we did about 51 million in audited financial revenue. And sold a few drugs to big pharmaceutical companies and smaller pharmaceutical companies, generating more than $1.5 billion in total deal value with good cash upfront. Earlier, Longevity was talking about how those drug deals are usually structured. And now, kind of one of the biggest passions I have are multimodal transformer and diffusion-based life models. So think of those as aging clocks, but they are also very capable and are able to do many, many different tasks. Many of you know the GRC conferences. If you ever miss one, if you get invited and you miss one, you're a sad person. You should never miss those. And one of the GRC conferences that I attended and got to present at was organized by Steve Horvath and Vadim Gladyshev on systems aging in May 2022. That was way before ChatGPT moment, right? GPT 3.5. And we invited you to the ARDD 2022. And at approximately this time, a model called Gatto came out of DeepMind, and I was blown away. That was me at this conference. Of course, I knew what multimodal transformers could do, but these guys showed the first proof of concept where you can take multiple data types, train one model on many data types at the same time, and those models can also perform multiple tasks like image annotation, understanding of videos, protein folding, text understanding. And at that meeting, I started talking to Vadim Gladyshev a lot. I have huge respect for Vadim. And presented this slide, right? So why don't we create a precious model, so kind of inspired by Lord of the Rings, so one clock to rule them all. But in addition to clocks, you would be able to do many, many other tasks with one model. So just like a human, you can predict other people's age by their face, by their smell, by the way they walk, by the way they talk, by voice. And you can also adjust your behavior accordingly. So just like the human brain, multimodal models are supposed to understand multiple different data types that they are trained on, and some new ones that make them more practically applicable than aging clocks. So I think that the aging clock era is never going to be over, but many of those aging clocks will become multimodal and multi-species, multi-tissue, and multi-omics. And our first attempt at multi-omics transformers was Precious 1 GPT. It was a primitive model we built in 2022, right after the GRC conference, and published it in Aging. Then we published Precious 2 GPT just recently. It's a multimodal transformer and diffusion model that allows you to synthesize biological data with high quality and with using age as a generation condition. And now we put Precious 3 GPT on bioRxiv. It also is on Discord. It's an instructional model. And we put it also on Hugging Face. So if you are interested in learning more about those models, I just wanted to kind of put your attention a little bit on that. There is a poster on this, and there are a couple guys who are dedicated to this particular project. And we haven't submitted this paper to a high-profile journal yet. We're looking for more collaborators. It's open source, open access, so you can actually utilize this model yourself right now. It's actually it's downloading very well. So if you look at different AI models that are being downloaded from Hugging Face, this is actually not a bad result. So people are using it, and please attend this lecture to learn more and get a deeper insight, and they are here. If you want to co-publish later on, it would be great to collaborate. So now switching to the core of my presentation. So can epigenetic clocks be used to identify therapeutic targets? Again, previously I thought that, and we built a few and published, but I thought that they were not exactly useful. You probably know one of my papers that came out this week, this year in Nature Biotechnology, showing how we discovered TNIC target implicated on different hallmarks of aging, did chemistry ourselves, prediction of clinical trials, performed many different preclinical experiments, and then completed 2 human clinical trials. So currently it's in phase 2 in China and New Zealand, but there we nominated 3 preclinical candidates, released all the data so you can see it. And I was presenting this slide at Longevity Summit Dublin, so coming to the fun part of the presentation. And I was approached by 2 guys with kind of cat ears on their head. And at Aubrey's conferences you can meet all kinds of people. And I thought, well, great. So they said, well, can we take a picture with you? I said, great, sure, let's do it. And they were saying, well, please attend our talk because, and I need audio on the next slide, because we're going to present your work from methylation aging clocks. And I'm saying, guys, I didn't do any work in methylation aging clocks for target discovery before, so I cannot attend your lecture, I have to go, but send me a paper, right, and I'll have a look. But this is what they presented. It would be great to have audio if possible. I wonder if it's my problem here. AV is really kicking ass at this conference. Okay.
These have very interesting outcomes. So one thing we were very glad to see, again, from Aubrey's conference is this very known target, TNIC, that was previously hardly druggable. And Alex Zhavoronkov's Insilico medicine just presented at the conference about how they managed to drug this target. It's a very interesting target because, for example, just 3 days ago, the Horvath lab published a maximal species lifespan association study from DNA methylation data, and TNIC is a very strong coefficient in that data set. So
yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, wow, it's kind of like Silo's presentation today. When her paper came out on TNIC-KO and implicated TNIC in muscle wasting and obesity, I really got a lot to drink. Last year, it was like 3 years before ARDD, and we were reading the paper and drinking. I couldn't run the first day because it was a celebratory moment, serendipity. So, but I didn't believe that, so I basically asked these guys to send me the papers. And the Horvath team, in collaboration with many scientists, published 3 very important papers, 2023, 2024. Many of you probably don't understand the gravity of those papers because those papers show that you can develop aging clocks using epigenetic data that work in multiple mammalian species and perform many different tasks. So you can predict maximal lifespan, you can predict different life trajectories, and you can predict age, biological age. Super cool work. But what we overlooked when we read those papers is we overlooked supplementary data. And that's what the cat longevity guys were talking about, right? And they're like pretty credible team. So, Oxford PhDs, postdocs, and when they started digging into this data, they started looking at potential hints for protein targets in multiple species, including cats, from epigenetic data. And once I saw that paper and their presentation, they sent me a part, I was blown away, and I immediately informed my team saying, guys, drop whatever you are doing, this is cool stuff. Let's go and look at those supplementary materials. Like on the way to the airport, I actually downloaded the supplementary figures and did the very basic statistical analysis. You can see it through, you can see it with naked eyes. And the supplementary materials contains the clues to most promising targets. So I was like, it's kind of eureka moment. So in Nature Aging, when this guys published the universal DNA methylation aging clock from mammalian tissues, breakthrough, right? So this is the kind of Nobel Prize moment. If you dig into the data, right? So it should have been published on Nature. I'm not sure why they did another great journal, but could have gotten a bigger audience. And in this paper, if you analyze the most important CPG sites within those clocks and link them to the targetable genes, those are the protein targets that you see: TEAD1, TNIC, CAT6, B, FGFR2, and a few others. Those are like some of the top scoring genes. Bingo. So they're actually, some of them are in my pipeline. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So, and it's very, very rare for, in drug discovery, to see multiple hints saying that, you found a target that is implicated in aging. Then the science paper, the DNA methylation networks underlying mammalian traits, huge paper, make sure you read it to your kids. And they are also some of the most important sites. The CPG sites using EWAS links maximal lifespan showed that some of the targets are implicated in our pipeline. And we're like, wow, and the TNIC is one of the hottest and highest scoring proteins that actually is targetable. Crazy, right? And then the DNA methylation networks underlying mammalian traits. This paper shows that methylation signatures of maximal lifespans also include targets from Insilico pipeline. And we found those targets using a completely different approach, using mostly expression and proteomics for disease and aging associated genes. And then this paper, also Science Advances, should have been Science, right? But I guess people like to have more kind of original data with new results published in Science, but I think this should have been like a higher journal even for that. And in this paper, which was on bioRxiv before for a while, and I completely ignored it, didn't look at the supplementary data. Again, the value is in supplementary. So in this paper, they looked at all of the mammalian species and looked at the maximum lifespan prediction, and multiple clocks showed that we can predict maximal lifespan in multiple species and tell a lot about multiple species using DNA methylation profiles. Again, Nobel-winning material, I think. And we've looked at the relative coefficients, the relative importance of the CPG sites linked to known targetable genes. Boom. And we see TNIC, KIF18A, CAT6B. By the way, I sold this drug, licensed it out to a company called Menarini for breast cancer last year for $500 million, $12 million upfront at preclinical candidate stage. And it's actually a good target for breast cancer, as it looks like, I hope. But we also see that it is implicated in aging. So this paper also suggests that some of the targets are coming from methylation aging clocks. So for me, it was a revelation. So if you look at some of those papers and bring drill them down into the different predictive capabilities, gestation time, age of sexual maturity, many of them are pointing to the targets in my pipeline. And we found these targets utilizing our Panda-omics pipeline, plus building deep neural networks that predict age and disease at the same time. And then we just run through an algorithm that allows you to evaluate druggability, commercial tractability, and many other properties that make a good target. And we also didn't want to go after something that's dramatically undruggable. That's why we drugged TNIC. which is super cool. And now we decided to give the same task to our life models, to our transformer-based models. So Precious 1 GPT also picks some of those genes as promising aging targets, but Precious 3 GPT allows you to demonstrate that you can talk to this model. It's instructional. You can see that the genes implicated in aging and disease genes, that's what we really want. 20% of them, 20% of the most important ones, contain my targets, but there are many more. So you can actually derive useful, targetable, therapeutic targets out of aging research. And this is the entire point of this conference. So the entire point of this conference is to bring pharma together with academia and ensure that we can build biotechnology industry. And usually pharmaceutical companies are still a little bit, we are warming up to aging research. Here we have, the head of aging research at Novartis. We have Eli Lilly, wonderful people. We have Novo Nordisk and many others, Lundbeck. So people who are betting seriously on aging. But these kind of studies give them more evidence to invest in aging and use it as a platform for drug discovery. At least it gives me more evidence that I was betting my life on something that is promising. And now another big bet. So I have a collaborator that I need to invite to the stage really quickly. And do we have Dominika Wilczuk in the house here? That's our kind of young scientist who works in aging for a very long time. Here you go. So it would be great to have you on stage. And I'll explain. I'll also tell you a really cool story today. I'll need you as an assistant. So I met Dominika about a year ago at an aging conference where she was presenting a poster with a mirror in it. And you could look in the mirror and then go through the poster to evaluate your subjective age. I said, wow, it's cool stuff. So we got acquainted, gave her the card, and then the next time I met her was at a Nature conference where she was presenting her work on multi-agent systems for gyroprotector discovery. And that's when I was blown away. We started talking and started looking at different ways to utilize aging research for drug discovery. And I realized that Dominika is actually much smarter than me, so by far. So nowadays, when I need advice, I kind of come to her. She is studying neuroscience at Duke, speaks fluent Chinese and many other languages. I thought that it would be a really good idea to start collaborating. And today, I really want to kind of make a proposal and ask you to be my longevity research partner. Would you agree? Oh, wow. So, yeah. Thank you. I'm happy that Morten, dinner is next, right? Dinner is next. Okay, sorry. So now we're gonna work together. Thank you, and thanks for saying yes. Say yes, yes, yes. Okay. So next year, if you want to attend ARDD and do the same thing, I think we hope to set the trend. I don't like the word wife because it's an acronym I do not know how to describe. So it's going to be like research partner, RIPA. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Hope we're setting the trend because if you bet on long life, you should find yourself a lifelong partner who helps you. Oh, yeah. Okay, no, question.
I just want to say congratulations. And it's wonderful and only at ARDD and obviously you two are amazing people. So congratulations.
Yeah.
And I think we will invite you all to go to the courtyard. There will be some food here, but also go to the courtyard. There will be some drinks, I think, to celebrate something. And so please, let's go.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.